Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the channel. Today we're going to be working on the passenger side lower control arm. Well, really the only control arm that it has on the back side here. I've already done the driver's side. It looks great, night and day difference. So we're going to dive into it, take it out, clean it, give it a good fresh coat of paint, make it look brand new. It's a pretty easy process. It's pretty straightforward, so we're going to go by it step by step and try and walk y'all through it as best I can. We'll clean it up and we'll put it back in and be done before we have to go pick up the groceries tonight. So let's get to it. Alright, so y'all can see this control arm is a little dirty, a little crusty. So what we're going to do is we're going to vacuum out all this crud and start taking stuff off. The first thing we're going to want to take off is the brake line and the brake bleeder off the back of the drum here. And take off the handbrake cable. So we're going to go brake lines and bleeder screw into the handbrake cable. And we'll get to that point, and then we'll start moving on to removing the bigger bolts and getting stuff out of our way. Alright, for those of you that have been following along, you know that the transmission and engine is already out, which makes it really easy because the transaxle is already removed, which normally goes here, which means that also the shocks are also removed, which usually go right here. So that makes this job a lot easier. I'm not really one to kind of do it halfway and be lazy about it, so since we're already here, all the stuff's out of our way already, might as well take these out and clean these. Part of why we're doing it right now. So I recommend you guys should get one of these brake line wrenches. It's only a couple bucks. Bought it at O'Reilly's. They had it on the shelf, but it really saves your brake lines, because if you break off one of these metal lines, you got to run a whole new metal line, and that is not fun. Ask me, because I did it on the front one. So we're going to pop these brake bleeder screws off, and then we're also going to take off the brake line. Alright, so it's already started to move, which is really nice. The bleeder screw on top is an 8, of course. So we're going to get our little guy right here, and so we can just pop him off with this. So I'm going nice and easy. I don't want to go aggressive. I guess it helps if I'm going the right way, huh? Alright, so that's starting to back out really nice, which is great. Because sometimes those do get stuck and it's not fun to deal with. Alright, so I'm trying to remove as little as possible, and there's actually a little clip right here that retains the metal brake line. So we're going to have to flip this up gently so we don't break it off. A little at a time. Try not to put too much force on the actual brake line. So just so we can get it open. That way we can get this to back out and move. So see, we're starting to get it to let it move a little bit. Alright. So that's all the way out, which is good. The other thing is on the handbrake cable back here, there's a bolt with a cotter pin going through it on the bottom. So you have to take out that cotter pin, and we'll start working on this brake line, or the handbrake cable. So I've already taken it apart in the middle underneath, backed off the two screws that are locked together to get a lot of slack in this, a lot of play. So we're going to get that cotter pin out underneath the bottom here. A lot of times these end up breaking on you, so it's good to have a box of extra. Good just to replace them in general. Because much like this one, they start to rust pretty quickly, especially underneath the car where there's a lot of moisture and dirt and all sorts of stuff kicked up to it. So, alright, there it is. Got it. A little washer on the bottom, make sure you don't lose that. Keep these together. And this should mean that the brake cable should come right up and out, just like that. Make sure you don't lose the little bolt on there. Now the next part of this is actually back here where the handbrake cable meets a little retaining clip here is a like a lock washer. It's split in the middle, and so you can actually go underneath with a flathead and tap it on both sides and it'll work its way off. And you can remove it that way. So this one's on its side. Should start to come. Just like that. Keep that with the handbrake parts. You should be able to work it just backwards and it should come out of the housing like that. Come up. Now I can just let it hang. That's as far as we have to go with that. So next is going to be on the side here, there's a retaining clip for the coupler of the brake line. The hard brake line meets the rubber. And a lot of times these are on there. So we're going to see if we can get some pliers on there to pop it up, or we're going to have to break it off one way or the other. Well, there's that, isn't it? Alright, so that means we have to resort to plan B. So, let me grab some of the parts. Alright, so what I've had to do is break out or front of the rubber mallet. Now there's two prongs on this piece, so if I hit them on the tips of the prongs, it should pop it right up. There is a nice little access hole down here, so you can get up to it. Now you're not going to be able to see much, but you just kind of tap it, just like this. So when you get it up high enough, you can kind of just pop it up like that and don't land it in the little crevice. So we got it off. So now we should be able to clean the area a little bit. And then you should be able to push that through. And of course I can't. A little bit of encouragement, right? Alright. So it's a good sign that there's some brake fluid still in it, because this whole time it's had nothing. So, in the little hole here, you can see it's... As soon as we drop this arm, it'll go through. I like to keep a lot assembled. That way, when it comes back to reassembly, there's less stuff to lose, and you don't have to fight as many corroded pieces. So, that's what I just find easier. Other people have different methods. I just like to keep it assembled so I also remember where it goes. That's just me. So next we're going to do is we need to jack up the underneath the wheel here to get the jack moved to its actual jacking point and off the arm here. And then once we do that, we have a the sway bar bolt back here. You guys can't see it, so I'll just take that off real quick, and that'll drop down because the other side's already off. And then after that goes through, we're going to get underneath. I believe they're 19mm sockets. We'll need 2 of them. Just go back and forth. There's one up front, on the other side of this arm. And there's one in the back where the handbrake cable meets the actual control arm. Once that's all done, this whole piece should just swing down, and I'll be able to tap out the bushings. And there will be some spacers in there, so we just need to make sure we keep those spacers. And remember if it's how many on each side to center it. I think they're only 1,000-inch spacers, but sometimes it makes a little difference. So let me clean up a little bit here. I will grab my appropriate sockets, move this jack, and then we'll keep going. Alright, so we just moved the jack forward to our actual standard jacking point. I'm starting to lower this. So this is when it's important that we have this disconnected, the handbrake cable disconnected, make sure that's all done. Because as we start to lower this, it'll give us access to the spring, which is nice because we can get it right out of the way without a spring compressor. And it's not going to fly out on you either. Just like that, nice and easy. I'm going to bring it all the way down here. Get this up and out of the way. It's going to hang a little bit, but that's okay. Get the jack all the way out of the way. Get these pieces out of the way real quick. Alright, so now we're going to go in here and do the 2 bolts that hold on both sides of this control arm. Might as well take this out, it's just extra weight that we're going to have to deal with later. So we're going to do this front one first, and then we're going to come around from underneath the engine bay this way to get that back one. It's a little dirtier under there, but it's much easier to get to. Buddy's on here. Don't want to do that. Alright, there it goes. Now I know you can't see much, but it's right up by this jacking point. So you get it going a little bit, and I usually put the breaker on the other side. That's one big bolt with a nut, and then luckily the nuts face on the outside, which is nice. And if your breaker bar is a little longer, you can actually just pin it against the ground and it will hold it. Mine, of course, is about 4 inches too short, which is fine. So we're going to ratchet this real quick, and then we'll keep moving on. Alright, so you all can't really see me, but this last side is going to be right here. So what I'm going to do, a little tougher from this side, but I'm going to do it so y'all can see. Like that. Now granted, I've been soaking these overnight a couple times before I came out here too in penetrating fluid. You know, who knows how long these have been out here. So now we just come through the punch and knock out that bolt. And then I'll show you all how it all comes down. Alright, so now we got both bolts out. The handbrake cable you can kind of slide out of the way now over the sway bar. So now that this is all down, we can actually get pretty close to moving out our hard brake line. Just remember, as we drop this down, there's going to be shims. We want to make sure we don't lose any of those. So we're just going to kind of rock it and tap it. And it should start to work its way out. A little bit better angle here. So this side's getting close to coming out. Okay, now you can see the other side starting to work its way down. So you can hear there's 2, 3. So that's the back. Get that towards the back side. You see it came free. This side should just come forward. Just like that. You hear the shims come down, and this brake line just feeds through its hole. Right, like that. I don't want to put too much stress on the rubber line. You don't want it to break or rip. I have new front brake hoses coming, but not the rear. So, and just like that, here it is. Still a bunch of stuff in it. Our vacuum couldn't get all the way down here. So, let me pick up those shims real quick, and then we'll go out here and start cleaning it up. Alright, so what we're going to do now is wire wheel this. I'm going to dump out all this stuff that's still sitting in here. We're going to fast forward through this. So it'll be pretty quick for y'all, but I'm trying to take my time with it. I'll leave the brake drum on until we get to the end, because then I'll take it off. We'll paint that separately along with the spring. So let's get to cleaning. Alright, so we're ready to paint the pieces. The spring and the control arm are going to go black, and the brake drum is going to go silver. What I'm using is this high heat, meant for grills, barbecues, so it's meant for 1200 degrees. Brake parts do get hot. especially around the brake parts. I know you can get engine enamel, things like that are right up to 500. But I like how this goes on. It's nice and smooth, even. So we're going to do that, and then once these are all dry, we'll go to put them back in. And so let's just fast forward through this. I'm sure you all seen this a million times in different videos. So we're just going to fast forward through this, and we'll be set. So we reassembled it, got it all nice and painted. So all I have to do now is reverse the order of what we did to take it out. Real simple, just don't forget to put those shims in there when you go to put them back in. Thanks for watching, guys. It's real simple, pretty straightforward. Just get it clean, get it painted. Maybe it'll last another 10-15 years. So that's what we're all about, a little bit of budget. Makes it look good. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. I'll try and get your questions if I can. Thanks, guys.